Wrapping up UMass, great to get a league win, and certainly a positive finish on our three-game homestand. That we had 3 home games in a row for the first time in I don't know how long, and it was 1 week at a time. That was certainly a positive finish to it. So much of the football season is trying to keep your goals alive. And, the one thing through the first half of the season, I think the most important thing right now is we're 3-0 in the conference. So we know we've put ourselves to get into November and have our goals alive, and now we just got to keep getting better. And that's a challenge during the season because you get banged up, you play the games, you get involved in your week-to-week preparation. But this football team needs to get better. For us to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish, in no way, shape, or form do we feel that we're playing at a level right now that we need to be playing at. So. Again, there's still a lot of things to work on. Certainly this week we're going to be very tested. We're playing an SEC team on the road. Mississippi State is a very talented football team. Their 3 losses are to Oklahoma State, LSU, and Auburn. Certainly in the Auburn game, they lost that game. I think it was the last or second last play of the game. In the LSU score, you can look at the score. That was a 2-point game till late in the third quarter, and that was a 5-point game going into the fourth quarter. So it's watching the film. It's clearly a different level. On defense, they can run in the secondary and a linebacker. Their front is beautiful. I mean, they're 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 265, 285, 300 pounds. They are long, they are lean, they're athletic, they're strong, they're good pass rushers. On offense, they're very fast, they're very skilled. The nature of their offense is they spread you sideline to sideline. They have some tremendously skilled players. Perkins, the tailback, rushed for over 1,000 yards. And to say you're an all-SEC player in that conference with those teams, and he's an all-SEC tailback. Lewis kid, number 4, their receiver, is lightning fast, great route runner, good kick returner, and just SEC defenses have a hard time getting him on the ground. So he's certainly going to be a challenge. And then up front, Gabe Jackson is a 6'4", 340-pound guard. He's an all-SEC player and he's probably a draft pick. Their tackles are both 6'7", one 305, 310 pounds. So this is a really talented football team. They're in a 2-quarterback system. Prescott, 15, more the runner. Russell, 17, is more the thrower. And so they give you a lot to prepare for in terms of their scheme, in terms of their talent. And so this is obviously a huge challenge for us to go down to Starkville.
Questions? When you look at Mississippi State, is there one area in particular that is the biggest challenge for this team?
I think it's going to be tackling them. I mean, they have just such good space players, and when you boil down what they do with all of their power option, their power read game, and zone read game, you're defending, to some degree, triple option football. And so, then they have some built-in passes with it too. So you take that 3-headed monster of, if you give them, if it's the give, you've got to tackle Perkins. Prescott is an outstanding runner, and when you watch him, and he's scrambling against LSU and making people miss, and against Auburn and making big plays. And certainly if you pack in the box and they're able to isolate the Lewis kid, I mean, there's not a favorable matchup there. There's not, a lot of times when you break down a team, you say, okay, pick your poison. And if these are the 3 things they can do, you force the third guy maybe to try to beat you. There's not a good choice. So we're going to have to play really well. And again, the style of offense is challenging too, because they spread you out, they get in empty formations, they get in 1-back sets, they motion people, and 2 things in that league are the speed on the perimeter and the defensive line. And their defensive line is guys in that line that will be making a lot of money playing football on Sundays. You know?
Including a guy named Chris Jones, if I saw him right.
Yeah, he's a 5-star recruit, and he's playing as a freshman, and we were watching film on him and what he was doing at LSU. I mean, he probably won't be there 4 years. I'm sure they're enjoying him while they have him. And so I think where are the challenges? I think our offensive line is really going to be challenged. I think our perimeter players on defense are going to be really challenged to tackle them. And I mean, the challenges across the board, but if you look at the two things that jump out, certainly their perimeter speed and talent and where they are as a defensive line group. And, I'm bad luck with scheduling these games, and we scheduled these guys when they were, I think, 3-9, and now they've been to 3 consecutive bowl games. And again, they're a very good team, very well coached. Dan certainly knows what he's doing with the offense, and they've done a really nice job recruiting, and this is a really good program. So it's we better buckle it up and be ready to go.
After all that, where do you see yourself being successful? Where can you exploit, take advantage of something?
Well, I don't know if there's necessarily anything to exploit. I mean, but this is one of those games that the pieces have to add up greater than together. It has to be greater than the individual parts. I mean, we're going to have to execute at a very high level on both sides of the football. This is not a game that our defensive backs can take their eyes off their keys. When you play a team like this, the mistake is really costly. The mistake isn't a 5-yard play; it's a 60-yard touchdown. And you look at their game against Troy. Troy has been a good Sun Belt program. Troy went down to the wire with Duke, who's an improving team. I mean, it wasn't even a game; it was 62-7. And again, I think Troy is over the years been a very good program. And if you look at other teams Troy has played, they're right in games, and they've won some good games this year. And so again, if you don't keep things in front of you, if you don't keep your eyes in the right place. Now, if you do all those things, and you keep things in front of you, and your gap sound, and you tackle, and on offense you can sustain drives and eat up clock, and you get to the red zone and you score touchdowns, you give yourself a chance to make it interesting in the second half and the fourth quarter. So this is one of those games you gotta stay in it, you gotta stay in it, you gotta stay in it. And when we've played these games, sometimes we've done it. Missouri in 09, Florida last year, and sometimes we haven't done it. Michigan in 10, and Virginia Tech last year. So again, you got to play at a really high level to give yourself a chance, and that's our challenge. And our guys are looking forward to it, and they enjoy playing these games, and they enjoy playing in these crowds. But across the board, the matchups get tough. So again, we're just going to have to be really focused and really locked in and play at a very high level.
Given what you just said, how's practice been this week, and the opponent that you have versus everyone else you've had this year?
It's good. I mean, there's always a little extra juice. Our players enjoy these games. They really do. They enjoy being on this stage. They enjoy the challenge of it. So there's always, you show them the stadium. It worked out well last week because of when our game was. As soon as we got home, right there on TV is LSU and Mississippi State. So they got a chance to watch the game. They saw the environment. They heard the cowbells. We're going to a big-time atmosphere. And I think to a man, our staff and our players enjoy doing that.
I understand you're playing a lot of cowbells at practice.
I can't confirm or deny any of those reports. If you had been at our practice, you could confirm it or deny it.
Oh, okay.
TV guys don't do that.
Right.
I know you're not going to play that soundbite.
No, I have a response, but I'm not going to say it while the cameras are rolling.
Whoa.
Whoa!
You mentioned the Florida game. One of the players yesterday said that's the attitude that the team has to win with, to attack. You struggled at Indiana and really didn't attack enough. That's what you're taking from the Florida game. Have you talked about that with them?
Well, I think the approach has to be you have to, from the get-go, from the very first kickoff, have to be locked in, and play at a really high level. And last year at Florida, we did that. You know, we moved the ball on offense, we converted third downs, we got off the field on defense, we tackled well. And we gave ourselves a chance to win a game against a very good team in the SEC on the road. I think to a man, I don't know if our preparation and our approach to Indiana was what it needed to be. And the score was what the score was. So we certainly learned something from the way we prepared at Florida last year, and we learned something by how we went into that Indiana game. And I think our players know what it takes to be competitive in a game like this. And it's not just what happens on Saturday, it's what happened on the practice field yesterday, what happened on the practice field today, how much film are they watching. So it's, again, these are great challenges, but I think these games you always find out a lot about your team. And the bottom line is it's a great opportunity for our program to play on national TV in an SEC stadium and against a very good football team. So we get one or two of these shots a year, and we look forward to them, but we also know, again, I can say the same thing over and over. To be in these games and have a chance, you've got to play really well. And you've got to be up for that challenge, and it's got to be across the board, because everybody's matchup gets tougher. Corners are covering faster receivers. The receivers are going against faster DBs. The linemen are going against faster, bigger, stronger players than they do week in, week out. And we certainly go against good players in our conference. This is a different level.
Obviously, coming into the season, the two Matts were neck and neck. Shill's got the initial start, but Johnson has obviously taken over since then. Did you realize how high the ceiling was for Johnson and how well he's played? Did you expect it?
I mean, I thought Matt Johnson would be really good. I didn't know if it would be this year or next year. You know, and part of it was he hasn't played in games. And, again, this is going back 6 weeks. I mean, we made a commitment game one to play him and see how he did in games. And he certainly, you know, with quarterbacks it's different because we don't have them go live in practice. The quarterback is a position that can't protect itself. If the backside tackle misses his block on a blitz, I don't want a free rusher ever coming at our quarterback in practice. You know, so we protect him. So a lot of those plays that you make when the pocket breaks down or scrambling or running, you really don't get to see that in practice because, again, and it's just my philosophy is I don't have the quarterbacks go live in practice. So that is always a little bit of an unknown when you get to games, and that was one of the reasons that we wanted to play Matt and see how we'd handle Matt Johnson and see how he'd handle that. Obviously, and Tulsi's handled it well. He's made a lot of big plays with his feet. I would say last week one of the biggest plays of the game was in the second quarter when pocket broke down and he scrambled and hit Bear on that 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 14, and then Alex Bear made a guy miss, which led to a first down, which a couple plays after that, it might have been the very next play, we hit Ronnie Moore on the long touchdown. You know, if Matt Johnson doesn't extend that play with his feet, then we never get that touchdown, and it's never 7-0, and that was really the play that got us going. So those things, again, that's just the nature and the philosophy that I have is because our quarterbacks don't go live, that's always an unknown, and I think that's an area that Matt Johnson has really excelled. And he's made a lot of big plays with his feet for us.
Any connection to Dan Mullen at all? I know
Yeah, a
you
little
coached
bit.
him
This is
before.
a little funny coaching story. That when I first got the head job at Fordham in New York City, this was back in December of 1998. A good friend of mine was the offensive coordinator at Syracuse. His name was Kevin Rogers. And Kevin called me up and said, Dave, I have a GA here at Syracuse that you need to hire. He was one of the hardest working, brightest football coaches I've ever been around. I'm telling you, if you hire to coach your quarterbacks, your receivers, you won't regret it. The guy is bright. He's a football junkie. He works at it. And, of course, I didn't hire him. There was someone else that I knew that had recruited an area that I wanted to get into recruiting-wise, and that guy was Dan Mullen. And so Dan, after that, went with Kevin to Notre Dame, where he met Urban, and then Urban comes to Bowling Green, and the rest is history. So, you know, if you look back at what Dan's making now salary-wise, you know, I'm sure he's glad I didn't hire him, because that turned out to be one of the best moves of his career. But I've known Dan. Matter of fact, Dan and I are part of the reason that this game got scheduled. That, the two of us were at a kind of a coaches convention together, and we talked about the possibility of playing, and he asked if we'd be interested, and I asked him what they'd pay, and when he said what the number was, I said, hey, we're interested. So that, yeah, Dan's done a great job there. He really has. He's very bright, and again, that was back in 1998, and so now it's 15 years later, and he's certainly made a great name for himself, at Bowling Green, at Utah, at Florida, and now he's doing a great job at Mississippi State. But we're not good, close personal friends, but it's, coaching is a small fraternity, and we've certainly run into each other enough.
We good?